Hi, we've got a slightly different video today. I'm here with Fiona, and reason being, I am going to India next month, and Fiona has spent a lot of time in India. And as a Westerner traveling over for the first time, we were kind of having a bit of a conversation between ourselves about what to expect and things that I may not have even thought of, and realized this might be something that's really, really valuable to share for anyone going over to India for the first time. So Fiona has very kindly agreed to lend us her time and knowledge on traveling to India. So hi and thank you, Fiona.
Hi, welcome. And I think it's an important subject because, and it's a long time ago that I was there, but it is a culture shock. India is a culture shock if you're coming from the West, and especially when you're going for a short amount of time to an event, there are certain things you probably want to mitigate in some ways, but at least be a little bit prepared for when you get there. So I think this will be a very valuable conversation for anyone who's going to be going to the ultimate experience in Mumbai.
So what I've got, Fiona, if you don't mind, is just a list of kind of subjects that I've scribbled down that I think may be useful for anyone that hasn't been before. There's certainly things that are going to be useful for me to know. So
Sure.
do you mind if I just run through them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll fit in anything that pops into my mind around your questions.
Thank you. So the first one I've written down, very important for me, of course, is how I charge my phone and my laptop. So what kind of adapters I would need to take with me? What kind of plugs are there in India?
You will need adapters. And off the top of my head, I think it's a round pin, but get yourself a proper multi-travel adapter, because it is a different electrical current there, and you will probably, I think your phone charger, it probably adapts it all anyway. I had Indian phones when I was there, so they were all. But I think phones is a really important one. Check with your provider, or whether you're going to be charged roaming, which you undoubtedly will, and look into the possibility of getting a SIM card when you get there if your phone is unlocked. Or a data package you were talking about. You might be able to get a data package specifically for India.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Thank you.
And everywhere will have Wi-Fi as well, so you can, you might not need your phone bit. You might just be able to make all your calls on WhatsApp or Messenger or something.
Yeah, that's very, very, very true. That if we have got good Wi-Fi kind of in the hotel, it might not be quite as important, but always like to know that I've got my phone on me.
Yeah, absolutely. We've become rather dependent on them, haven't we?
Yeah, very much so. And last night I was watching TV and I thought, oh, where's my phone? And I thought, hang on a minute, why can't I watch my phone watch the TV without my phone in my hand? I'm that dependent.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you'll probably find there'll be information like that will probably be at the airport as well. There's many mobile phone companies in India. So there might even be a desk at the airport. You can pick up some information on what to do with that when you get there. But probably check with your provider before you go, see if there's a data package, so you know you're prepared when you get there. And I think the other thing that I wanted to mention that we spoke about last week was arriving at the airport. Unlike a lot of countries, India has very high security in its airports. So nobody from outside is allowed in the airport. Unless you have a ticket, you cannot get into the airport building. So the airports themselves are quite calm. And then you get outside and you'll be hit by the heat, whatever time of day it is. It's fairly hot at the end of February. And it will be chaos. There will be lots of people wanting to attract your attention, take their taxi. You need to be very focused. So if you're getting off a plane at 2 o'clock in the morning or something, which a lot of the European flights do arrive quite late at night, just collect yourself before you go out. Have a cup of coffee in the airport or something. Collect yourself and go out into the airport. Preferably have somebody meeting you, have a transport from your hotel picking you up. And if you're going to get a local taxi, be aware that they're probably going to try and charge you more than they should be. And every taxi in the glove compartment does have a rate card. So you can ask to see the rate card if you're questioning what they're charging you.
That's a good tip.
And they do have meters, so you can insist on having the meter put on, because they won't always put the meter on.
Really, really good tip.
Yeah, it is. It'll hit you first as soon as those airport doors open. You're in India for sure.
It's good to know. Second I've got on my list is tips in the hotel. We've been, usually when we're kind of in another country, we leave a couple of pound coins because they prefer pound coins to the local currency. Is that true in India? And if not, what is the norm?
Yes, you do tip. I generally, when I was there, I would do a larger tip at the beginning of my stay. And I was living there, so I didn't have foreign currency. And I couldn't honestly answer whether they prefer foreign currency, maybe dollars and euros and pounds. Okay. But I found that if you tipped the guy, because somebody will take your luggage to your room, they will accompany you. I used to find that if you tip them first, they're always willing to serve. They are the most hospitable people in the world. But I just always felt you just give them a nice tip up front, and then I'd usually tip them again at the end of my stay. But it kind of got the ball rolling. That's how I used to do it. I don't think there's any particular method that works, but yes, they do appreciate being tipped for sure.
Maybe someone watching that maybe has been to India would know whether or not British currency is to leave, because obviously it's going to be a lot easier for me to collect up pound coins before I head out.
I don't think you want to do coins. I don't think they have the capacity to exchange coins. So notes, yes, because they're always going to have to take it to a money exchange place. Exchange places don't take coins.
Okay, that's good to know.
So you probably either want £5 notes, which would be that would probably be quite a large tip. So you probably want to actually stick to rupees. And I think that's another interesting thing, the exchange rate. India has a completely different economy to ours, and compared to the West, it is generally a lot less expensive. So something like a £5 tip probably is quite a lot of money over there. I'm not saying don't give generous tips, but just be aware that you probably don't tip at the same rate as you might tip in London or New York or something like that. But it's up to you. If you want to give generously, give generously. It makes a difference to people's lives. You know, the guys that are working in the hotels, they're probably not paid that well. They probably, like most places, rely on those tips.
It's good information. We could easily kind of end up over in India and never have even thought about it until we land.
Yeah. And when you're out and about, I mean, if you're just going to stay in a hotel that, you know, like the Sahara Star is it's a 5-star hotel. It's not going to be that much different from any other 5-star hotel anywhere else in the world. But when you're out and about in the town, don't flash your cash. It's kind of considered a little bit rude, and you could be inviting unwanted attention.
Yeah. Completely change of subject. Mosquitoes, are they a problem?
Yes.
in Mumbai in India?
Yes, there are mosquitoes.
Lots of mosquito bracelets then and sprays in the luggage.
Yeah, it's it's the usual with mosquitoes. It's sunset, they come out. It's the female of the Anopheles mosquito that carries malaria. So you just don't want to get bitten. They like dark clothing, so wearing lighter colours that time of day will keep them at bay. Not completely, but if you're wearing dark colours, they tend to be drawn to the dark colours.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely bring whatever you need to keep them away from you, and cover yourself at that time of day. Just cover yourself in clothes. Once that sunset period is over, it tends to lessen, but you'll probably find again, depends where you're staying, but most hotels will either have a sealed room with air conditioning, or they'll have mosquito nets.
I should be on Amazon to buy more of my mosquito bands.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
Just touched on it slightly on that one, but dress code. Is there anything we shouldn't wear?
Mumbai is a cosmopolitan city, so you can wear pretty much anything you like. I think just as a female, you want to not be provocative. And I always carried what they call a dupatta, which is a long scarf, thin scarf. And they're the most useful things because you can wear them over your head if you want. You can put them around your shoulders. You can cover. I used to wear them backwards, going over my shoulders, so it would cover my front. Just really handy to have one with you all the time. And if you feel at all like you're somewhere that you need to be a little bit more respectful, then you've got something to cover up with. And I'm not saying cover up completely. You can wear whatever you like. But just be aware that you are a foreigner in a country, and they're local. You'll be under more scrutiny as a foreigner, I suppose. So I would just be, don't go out in a bathing suit. Just be respectful, dress respectfully.
I think in every single area, you've got things that if you wear them, you're going to be noticed. And even here in North Wales, if you want to stand out, wear an English football shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Probably not the best idea to go to the pub in an English football shirt. Absolutely. It's the same, exactly. It's just be sensible and respectful of the difference in culture. And if you're going to go to temples, look around temples, very much be respectful in your dress. Don't go in a short t-shirt. Certainly when I was living in India, you didn't expose the top of your arms. That was considered not okay. I think India's moved on a lot since then, the modernization of India, but you will still find pockets where you will have very traditional thinking people. And especially if you go out of the big cities and if you're going to travel around at all in the country, you're probably doing yourself a big favor by dressing respectfully.
Yeah, I have experienced this as well, as where you can wear your kind of vest tops in the resorts and the hotels, but go out the street and you cover your shoulders. Yeah,
exactly that.
This one I found really important because this was something I didn't even think of. So the water bowls and drinking bottled water, we kind of we think of that automatically, but something that you brought up when we were speaking was teeth brushing, using bottled water for teeth brushing as well.
Yeah. The thing with India is your body is going to experience a whole different set of bacteria. I used to get it coming this way. When I used to come from India to the UK, I'd get an upset stomach. It was just a difference. But going that way, you will struggle quite probably with stomach issues. So you want to avoid as much as possible getting it and contaminating your body in any way. And water is going to be the big thing. So buying bottled water, check that the seal is sealed. Again, probably in a 5-star hotel, you don't need to worry so much about this, and they may well come to your table having taken the lid off. But outside of a big hotel, and I would probably always order, if I ordered a bottle of water in a hotel, I'd probably say, please bring it sealed, just to be sure. Because there are unscrupulous people that are filling bottles and putting new tops on them. So just check the seal and brush your teeth in bottled water. Definitely brush your teeth in bottled water. And we also discussed what you can do to help your stomach. So there's a few things that I used, and I'm not prescribing because I am not a doctor, but the things that I always had with me, a bottle of grapefruit seed extract. It's called citricidal, is its chemical name. And when my mother used to come and visit, she started visiting me when she was in her 70s. I used to give her a glass of this every morning. So 10, 15 drops in a glass of water every single morning. And it really made a difference to keeping her digestion calm. There's isabgol or psyllium husk, which you will be able to buy there, but we have it in this country. It comes in sachets, fiber gel, that type of thing. So that's always good to have in your handbag or your hand luggage, because it soaks up any excess fluid that is occurring in your digestive system. And there's the good old Imodium, which just stops you going, which I would use in emergencies only. But if you're going for the event, you want to be okay. It's going to be a long day. It's going to start early. We're going to be checking in at sort of 8:30 in the morning. Depending on the ticket that you've purchased, you're not going to be finished until the evening. And for that period of time, you probably don't want to be worrying about your stomach.
Absolutely.
And yeah, eat sensibly. If you're at all worried about it, eat in the hotel, eat in higher quality restaurants and things. I know when the very, very first night I spent in Bombay many years ago, we just ate at a local street food kind of Dabur restaurant, and I was so ill that first night. And I think I picked up something really nasty, and it took me about 9 months to get rid of it. I lost a lot of weight. I did lose a lot of weight in that first 9 months, but I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So, if you're going for a short time, just take care of your digestion.
Yeah, it's funny how we do kind of, our bodies adapt to what we have and eat regularly. And I was quite surprised the first time I heard an announcement on the aeroplane that said, when you're coming into the UK, unless you're used to drinking tap water, don't drink the tap water. And we just drink it without thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And it is just a difference. It's just a whole different set of bacteria and things that we take in. And you mentioned, and I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit here, you mentioned hand sanitizer. Great idea. Have that in your bag, because it's just a good idea before you eat. wash your hands. Just keep your hands clean, and a bit of hand sanitizer won't harm anybody.
Yeah, and I think from goings on in the 2019, 2020, we've all got really good at carrying that. So
yeah,
maybe we're not quite as good as we were 2 years ago. So worth just the reminder to carry a bottle.
yeah, yeah.
The next thing I've got on here is, I know you've touched on it briefly already, but so the temperature in February, so you said it's going to be warm.
It'll be warm, yeah. It will be hot. So if you're coming from Phoenix, you probably won't notice a difference. If you're coming from London, you probably will.
And if you're coming from North Wales, which I
You
am,
definitely will.
I'm going to notice, yeah.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be up in the 30s, I would have thought, 30, 35-ish. Yeah. It's not the hottest part, but you're coming out of the winter, so it's starting to heat up. By the end of February, you are looking at it being, yeah, pretty warm. As I say, if you're coming from Phoenix, probably won't notice the difference.
That's actually quite exciting to me, the thought of feeling so much warm temperatures. I feel like I've been cold forever now.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody recently. Oh, it was a comedian. We were watching a comedian, and he was talking about arriving in India, and he said you get off the plane and it smells. India smells different when you arrive. Everything is different. All your senses become engaged in what's going on, because there's a lot of chaos. The smells, I mean, from one minute you can be walking down the street and smelling the most amazing, beautiful perfume kind of smells of incense and agabati and food, and then there'll be unthinkable things that you'll be smelling, and you'll be seeing everything from the most beautiful faces and the smiles of children to beggars on the street without limbs. And so your entire sensory landscape is under assault, if you like, from the best to the worst. And there will the noise, people talking to you, and people wanting to touch you if you're in the crowd, especially if you're downtown in the crowded spaces, and you've got beggars and you've got things that you won't be used to. So again, keep your wits about you. Girls, carry your handbag across the front of you. Just be aware of the space around you, and take regular breaks, because this sensory overload is exhausting. You can, just every now and then, just find somewhere air conditioned, go sit down, and just chill again, because it's different. It's a completely different environment, as are many countries in the world. I will add that, but it's India that we've got a lot of our community heading out to India for this event. So.
But you know what? I find the same thing going from living up in the mountains where the population's really low. I found exactly the same thing going into London.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I find it when I drive from where I am back down to the south, and just I start off my drive in these lovely country lanes and roads, and I hardly see any traffic at all. And as I get closer and closer to London, the speed, it's the frenetic, that's the word I want. It's frenetic, that frenetic kind of everything going on. You just have to kind of gear up a little bit.
Yeah, just such faster pace of life than we're necessarily used to.
Yeah.
One thing I've got to do today, Fiona, is apply for my e-visa.
Yes. Yeah, you need to sort any visa, and this is something that only whichever country you're from, their consulate can advise on, because it is different for every country. They have different arrangements with every country. So yes, I think in the UK we can get e-visas relatively easy, but they take time to process. So if you haven't got your visa yet, get your visa.
Well,
Definitely.
e-visa, I collated all of the information together that I needed, and then found that I actually couldn't apply until 30 days before I travel, which is today.
Right.
So
yeah, so getting on it.
To do.
Yeah.
And something that came up for me that I had to research was, I don't know if it's the same for all countries, but from the UK, when you go to India, you have to have someone vouch for you on the e-visa. And what I found was that you can put the hotel name down, which is good to know.
Oh, right. Okay. And also, I think members of the Indian team are quite happy to support on anything that you might need for a visa application. So you can always reach out to Ranjan or Farah or Saloni or any of the team to ask for advice from them.
Yeah. And when I'm over in India, is there kind of any etiquette that I should be aware of to respect the locals that may not be part of my day-to-day life here?
We've covered your dress. I think as much as possible, maybe get a guidebook, learn a few words. Your namaste is, that's the most common form of greeting. And I always found in India that foreigners were very quick with their namaste, but stay with it. It's a real acknowledgement of the spirit in the other person. So if you really want to greet somebody, this is the greeting. This is the respectful greeting. Absolutely, shake hands. People do shake hands. In my experience, when I was there, the culture wasn't very physical. There wasn't a lot of touchy-feely, huggy kind of stuff. I'm very aware that India has changed considerably in the last decade or so. But the reason, there is a reason as well for this, is that you're not touching hands. You're not spreading. We've come from 2 years of COVID. We know how disease is spread. So again, you're probably keeping yourself healthy to stay with a little bit of respectful manners. I never found the Indian people to be, they're not coarse. So, swearing and kind of laddish behavior and stuff didn't really go down well. If for the guys, if you're going outside, keep a shirt on. It's not really okay to walk around without a shirt on for a man, and certainly in the UK, loads of people wonder about, they take a shirt off quite easily. That's not something, so they're a very respectful people. So yeah, I don't think anyone's really going to probably be taking their shirts off and things. But yeah, just stay in that. You're visiting their country. I feel very strongly. I lived for many years in Goa, and we had a lot of tourists coming in, and I found that a lot of the Western tourists that would come there for their 2-week holiday had this attitude of, well, I've bought my holiday and I've bought the place.
Yeah.
And, they would wander around the town in their bikini with, and it was, I found it, being somebody who lived there, I found it disrespectful. So the biggest clue is look around you. What are the local people doing? And take guidance from their example. They're a deeply spiritual community, whichever religious background they come from. They are deeply spiritual, and religion and life are not separated in any way. So they will treat you as a guest. They will treat you like a god. And I guess the advice would be behave like one, be we're in a world of being, aren't we? Be your best self.
Yeah.
Because there's a side to India that will I did a post the other day in the Facebook group, and an Indian gentleman responded, and there was a point that he made of, India has got all these amazing sides to it, and it'll chew you up and spit you out if you're not going to comply. I wrote in the post, India will guide those who will, and those who won't, it will drag. You find people get there, and it's either they love it immediately, or they just want to be on the next plane out. And it's all about how, Steve speaks of the power is in the listener. The power of India is in how you experience it and what you focus on. If you're going to focus on the poverty and the dirt and the problems, that's all you're going to see. If you focus on the beauty and the kindness and the spiritual side of that country, that's what you will see. But they're both there, and they're both very present.
Yeah, what I'm really getting through is, when I go to India, if I slow down with curiosity, then I'm going to really get a lot out of going to India.
Yeah. It's a place that will reflect your state of being.
What better place to go for this event then?
Yeah, it really is. And this really came to me, in the last week or so. We approach things differently as Westerns. So one thing, don't lose your rag. Just don't lose your rag. It's not, people don't lose their rag in India. It's a chaotic place that just kind of moves and flows. And the best piece of advice I was given when I was there was by an Indian gentleman, and he said, learn to dance like an Indian, metaphorically. Learn to dance like an Indian. When you learn to dance like an Indian, you'll be fine. And I literally had to drop so many of those Western, the desire for perfection, the desire for things to be how I want them to be.
We can be incredibly rigid.
Yeah, drop all of that. Just go with it. In the countryside, there's a lot of buffalo, and you will see, going from one rice field across the road into the other rice field, a chain of buffaloes, and you can sit there all you like and pump your horn at them and try and get them to move. They're not going anywhere. They're going to cross the road, and you're just going to have to wait. And that's kind of what it's like in all of India. We spoke about time. Time is a very flexible thing in India. There is nothing really punctual about. So if you're expecting something to start on time and finish on time, let go of that. It's not going to happen. It will happen in its own sweet way. So this slowing down and allowing space is going to be your best friend. Your best friend. In one book I read, I think it was a Vikram Seth book, he said that for a nation that has the same word for tomorrow as it has for yesterday, you cannot expect it to have any real grasp of the concept of time. And they do have, it's Kal. Kal is yesterday and Kal is tomorrow. You just have to go with the context in which it's said to know which one is meant. Same for the day before yesterday and the day after tomorrow. They're also the same word.
Yeah, 2 times. Now and not now.
Yeah, kind of. So patience, you learn patience. And, I know people are going for a short time, but just be patient, be very patient.
I don't have anything else on my list that you haven't covered. I just wondered if anything else is coming up to you. in the moment? And if not, can anyone reach out to you or ask any questions maybe on the post that we're going to?
Yeah, probably on the post is the best place. And I'm not a, it has been over a decade since I lived there, and I'm very aware that the change in the last decade has been massive. So things, Lonely Planet guidebook will have lots of very useful information for travelers. We did speak about vaccines before we came on, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We spoke about how it's just check at the pharmacy to see if it's recommended at the moment.
Yeah, there is no I don't think there's any requirements, but you might want to make sure you're up to date with your tetanus and that type of thing. And
I will do, being allergic to mosquito bites, is go and get an antihistamine shot before I come.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, because if they love you, you'll. And it's strange with mosquitoes. When I first was there and I was traveling, and I traveled all over India, so on the buses and the trains and cheap hotels and stuff, my best mosquito repellent was my boyfriend, because as long as he was in the room, they were biting him.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like that with Matt. They know I can have 5 bites and he's got 500.
Yeah, so they're going to love. So they love some blood types or some sweetness of blood or something more than others. So I was very fortunate in that. But yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy India. It will reflect your state of being back at you, probably like no other place I've ever been to. So it's a great place to practice being. It's a great place to learn some of those deeper structures of being, because it will come back at you. But yes, if anyone has any questions, I'd be really happy to talk to them. I may or may not have the answers, because things will have changed. But,
I'd like to really invite as well anyone that might be watching the video that may be Indian or living in India, that if they pick up anything that would be good for us to know, that they just in the comments, because that would be hugely valuable.
Yeah, it's because I think people are coming for quite a short time. Probably about a week. It's probably average of people being there. So yeah, that quick in and out, you want to make sure you're a bit prepared before you go, rather than learning as I did when I went. I remember one of the things I took with me was loo roll. I was like, why I thought I needed to take loo roll, I don't know, but I did. The hotel will have all of those things.
Banking on the hotel having a
But it might be an idea to have some tissues in your pocket, because if you're out and about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope it helps some people, and
it certainly helped me. So I'm sure it's going to help others that have never travelled to India as well. So
I wish you a wonderful journey and an amazing experience.
Thank you.